Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to take on prompt 2 from our reading. And the reason I wanted to take this prompt on is because it really did catch my eye because I have had an experience where somebody made a remark that working with emergent bilingual students is just good teaching. And so I wanted to talk about that and talk about some of the new ideas and perspectives I have now as a more experienced teacher. Not really, but I mean more experienced than I was back then. So I had this happen to me when I was in my student teaching, and I student taught in a Spanish classroom, and I also student taught in an ESL classroom. And they were both really good experiences, but the ESL program that they had at the high school that I worked at was underprepared. It wasn't funded at all. And it only had one teacher, and she was great, but she wasn't prepared at all to teach emergent bilingual students. And I remember just being frustrated by it because the kids didn't like it, and the classroom was strange, and it was out in a portable where nobody wanted to go. Anyways, the whole thing was weird. And I was just talking to someone, and this teacher said, and I don't think she meant anything mean by it, but she said, in the end, teaching ESL students is just good teaching. And I remember that. And I, at the time, did not say anything because I don't think I fully understood what she was implying by that. And so as I was reading through these articles and, as I've had my own experiences in my own classroom, I've found that that's not the case. You can be a really incredible teacher. You can have lots of experience, but you need to have some specific things up your sleeve and in your pocket, I guess, to be able to really effectively teach emergent bilingual students. And that's just my personal opinion. In the article that we read, The Preparing Mainstream Teachers for English Language Learners by Jong and Harper, there was an interesting statistic, and I'm saying this directly from the book. It says 42% of teachers surveyed indicated that they had English language learners in their classroom, but only 12.5% of these teachers had received more than 8 hours of professional development specifically related to ELLs. And I believe that. I've seen that in my own school district, that no one is really prepared as a mainstream teacher to effectively teach their emergent bilingual students. They also go on to say in the same article, and I'm just going to paraphrase this, but just good teaching is important. We want to have really good teachers. We want to have teachers with experience. We want teachers to love their students. And so we're not saying that that's not important, but it says teacher preparation is an integral part of preparing mainstream teachers to work with ELLs. Teachers must also have the opportunity to systematically develop additional knowledge and skills related to the domains of language and culture in order to be effective in integrated classrooms that include native and non-native English speakers. And I agree with this. And as the article goes on, I really liked it as I was thinking of what I could say in a response to somebody saying that now. And I would say, I don't believe that. I don't believe that that's true. I know that we need to prepare our mainstream teachers to work with their emergent bilingual students so that they can best support them. And this article was great because it gave you specific examples for things to do during speaking activities, reading activities, writing activities. And for example, speaking activities, they said that you could draw your answer out instead of saying it back. Maybe the student is going through their silent period and they don't feel comfortable saying in front of the class their whole answer, and they could draw out their answer instead. Reading, it says that they could summarize a text individually to you if they didn't want to do it in front of everybody, or it even said that they could draw out what they were thinking about the text, how they wanted to summarize it, and I thought that was great. Writing, it talked about providing more specific forms of feedback and help for these students, even taking them aside while everybody's working on things individually, and just making sure that you're not using idioms that they don't understand. And there were so many other examples, but those are just some that stood out to me. In the other article, it's not an article, but in the book that we're reading, and that book is called Foundations for Teaching English Language Learners, and that's by Wright. They specifically say, and I'm reading this from chapter 7, and it says that the findings for the NLP report make it clear that just good teaching of reading and writing is insufficient for ELLs to develop English literacy skills. For this good teaching to be effective, it must be combined with ESL instruction that has a strong focus on helping students develop their English language oral proficiency skills. And I thought this was really interesting because it's not enough. It's not enough for them to become proficient the way we want them to. And lastly, going back to Jong and Harper's article that we read, And I'm just summarizing this as well. But they just talked about how it goes even farther than this, that good teachers understand their students, that they take time to know who they are, their habits, their interests, their likes, their families, their cultures. And this is how a mainstream teacher can really connect and help their emergent bilingual students in an effective way and help them reach their potential. So those are my thoughts on prompt 2, and I hope that you're all having a good week.